Hands down, the coolest gift that myself, my wife, or my family has ever received. Period.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, and here, this is my lovely wife, Carrie, coming to bring you another unboxing, I guess you would say. Sorry, I get, between the feedback in the camera and the things that are right here, I have trouble concentrating. I'm a man, shoot me, But anyway, we're going to do an unboxing here, and this is actually, it's kind of a mystery unboxing, I suppose, but it's something you know what it is.
Yes, I've actually been looking forward to this one.
Yes, and so have I. So we, unfortunately, we've had it actually in our possession for probably about a week now, but with 3 children, it's very hard to get everybody looking all good and ready to go. And it takes a lot for this right here, the money maker. That's just sort of natural. This takes hours, So anyway, would you like to help with this one? Or you want me to do it? Or no, you're just going to tear it open? What are you going to do? You can do whatever you want there. Gently tear it open. Yeah.
Sort of like a Christmas
Well, I was warned that the packaging was pretty good, because this came straight from Canada. We're in the midst here in Chicago of the polar vortex right now, which is actually just called cold weather. Put your hat and fucking gloves on. That's what it's considered in the rest of the world. Jesus,
Christmas. You did a good job. Lots of tape.
Yeah.
We interrupt our regularly scheduled program to bring you 2 idiots trying to open up paper.
It's in a box.
Correction, just one idiot.
I was talking about myself. It's okay. I know better than to cross you. For Christ's sakes, it's like a box within a box. Damn it! I should just knife this son of a bitch. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think you can just slide it out. Slide it out. You usually don't hear a couple saying that. It's normally slide it in. Anyway, sorry. That's what most people say anyway. Nobody says slide it out.
Covered?
Oh, it's better noise.
Oh, yeah.
So pretty. It's just so pretty. Oh, look at that. To Jim, Carrie, James, Logan, and Nathan, a very Merry Christmas. Vanessa. And what have we got here? And that right there, that's the money shot. That's the money shot. Personally, I think I look good. Middle one, this older one, he looks a little crazy. That's James. Carrie looks a little bit like 50s housewife, maybe, I don't know. I don't know what she's got going there. Logan looks like he just smoked something that was a little funny. And Nathan right there, he doesn't even look like he's with our family. So he looks sort of like a doll or a fake robot. No, this is actually very, very lovely. What do you think of it? I'll hold that right up in front of it. I'll probably flash it before and after the video as well. But what are your thoughts? This was a watercolor. She actually did this by hand, which is absolutely amazing to me. And this is nice, but I think we're going to have this thing blown up and maybe put on the living room wall or something.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, because this is absolutely amazing.
Yes, it's beautiful, just like you, honey. See? Gotta get me lucky points for later on, So you gotta store up as much. And for those of you that aren't married right now, when you are married and then when you bring children in the mix, you have to store up these lucky points. And it's almost like you kind of trade them in, almost like a rewards card at Target or Walmart or the gas station or something like that. Instead of getting gas, maybe you get sex. It just all depends. So, so thank you from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of your heart. That's nestled firmly in between those. But if we haven't done that, like I said, from all of us to you, we certainly thank you, and hope you enjoyed this one, brothers and sisters. And we'll look forward to catching you. Do you want to say anything? Anything? No. No, nothing?
We'll see you next time.
See you next. That's what Logan says, too.
Yeah.
See you next time. So look forward to catching you in the next one, Nation. Come on, try it.
Looking forward to catching you in the next one, Nation.
Exactly. Yes. All right.
What an amazing hand-painted watercolor portrait. I mean, absolutely amazing. And now I'm back here with everybody's favorite part of the unboxings, or many people's, and that's the story aspect of it. And to tell you the truth, my wife and I taped that video a few weeks back, and I've just kind of been struggling with the type of story that I wanted to tell. You know, I've told some funny ones, I've tried to tell some serious ones, some heartfelt ones, but ultimately, I think that the gift that she gave us is something that should reflect upon family. And so the story that I'm going to tell today is really, it's the story of when my life changed, when my firstborn was born, that day leading up to it, and then of course him being born, and just the feelings and everything else that came with that. So my wife and I was 22, she was 21 years old, and although we were engaged to be married, we certainly were not fully equipped to go and take care of another little life. We had moved back in anticipation of her having the child. We had moved back in with my parents. I had started going to DeVry full time and was actually working a couple of jobs, one for my father's paving company during the day, and then in the evenings on the weekends I was working actually at a bar to make some cash money on the side, and then going to DeVry as well for computer information system degree that I was trying to obtain. But anyway, I remember my wife going in, whenever her due date was, I think she was a little bit before or something like that, that she actually had the baby, but it was our first one. And although I'm the oldest of 6, I guess I never could have really prepared myself, and I didn't take it as serious as I should have leading up to it. The time just went by. So I'm at work, and all of a sudden I get a call. I get a call on our, at the time we didn't have cell phones, we had a phone in the truck that was linked in through the truck for work, and I get a call, and it's my mom, and she says, Jimmy, don't worry about it, don't worry about it, I don't want you to freak out over here, but Carrie started having contractions, you know, and I'm like, oh, I'm telling the crew, we gotta get this shit packed up, we gotta go, and she goes, just calm down, I've been through this 6 times now, the contractions are like a half an hour apart. It's her first baby. She's not going to, this is earlier in the day, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. She's not going to have the baby anytime soon. I just wanted to let you know, go ahead and finish out your day. You know, I had a couple hours worth of work left, and then come on home and get cleaned up. We'll see where she is at that point. So I'm excited. I just remember having this big old shit-eating grin on my face, you know, and I come out of the truck, and my buddy, who also was my coworker, Dan, looks at me and he says, what's going on? You know, and I said, man, someone have a baby, you know. And I knew that it was coming, but it was like the reality of it was setting in, you know. So the day finishes up, and I get home, and I take a shower and everything like that. Of course, I rush home, you know, and my wife is fine. Carrie's fine. She's contractions were, I think, maybe 20 minutes apart at the time. She wasn't having any real. They weren't long. They weren't pronounced as far as anything where she felt like she needed to go in yet. So we held off until probably about 6 o'clock at night, and then we wound up getting taken to the hospital. My brother and sister, my sister had a Mitsubishi Eclipse. Anybody who knows that car, it's a smaller sports car with 2 doors. And my wife didn't want to sit in the front where it'd be more comfortable. She wanted to sit next to me. So we both managed to somehow get in the back seat of this damn thing, and we drive to the hospital. And I'll never forget, it was a Monday night, and I was real big into football at the time. And she's sitting there, and we get in the room, and she's getting relaxed, and they're getting her all ready, and she wanted to go through a natural childbirth. She didn't want any pain medication or anything like that. And I remember the TV being on in the corner of the room, and I'll never forget the Jacksonville Jaguars were playing the Tennessee Titans, right? And I jokingly said to her as it went into halftime, I said, you think you could get this stuff, and I'm always just being comedic, you know, and I said, you think you could get this baby out and on the way so I can see the second half of the game over here or what? And I swear to God, my wife, for being this mild-mannered, calm person, just gave me this death stare, man, like laser vision from Superman. I thought it was going to cut a hole right through me. She was not very comfortable at the time. She was starting to experience some pain, and she did not like my joke at all, you know. Anyway, she wound up being in labor for, I think it was probably about 7 or 8 hours total, well, in the hospital anyway, and the baby wound up finally coming at, it was about 2 in the morning, you know. She did a great job, though. I mean, I really have to commend her. She was a trooper. She did eventually break down, and as she was in a lot of pain, I think she was dilated to like 6 or 7 centimeters, which once you get to 10, that means the baby's coming. But she looked over at me, and she held on, she was holding my hand, you know, and she looks at me, and she goes, would you mind if I took something for the pain? And I looked at her, and I'm like, and the doctors and the nurses are all looking at me like I'm the monster in the room, and I'm like, hey, listen, honey, whatever you need to do, you're the one that wanted to do the whole natural thing and everything else. I'm just flying as your wingman over here. I wish I could take the pain away from you. And that was one of the points where I realized you had that feeling of helplessness because you see her and she's in all this pain. And you want to just be able to absorb that pain, just to take that pain away from that person because you love them, you care for them, you know. And anyway, so she winds up, after a couple hours of being on the medication, whatever pain anesthetic or whatever that they gave to her to help numb her up, she's pushing. She finally winds up having the baby, and I was like in shock, and I kind of got lightheaded a little bit. I like couldn't believe what was going on. They asked me if I wanted to cut the umbilical cord as the father, and I said yes, but till this day, it's still just kind of like a murky, fuzzy mess, you know. And I mean, I remember doing it, and then they kind of looked at me. One of the nurses was like, "Are you okay?" And I guess I started to get kind of pale. I was getting a little bit, just a little bit. I don't know if I was going to pass out or what, I don't know if it was from the excitement or if it was just from the clear trauma that my wife was going through giving birth. I don't know. But the whole point to it is that once he did come out and you saw this little life and he started crying for the first time, and then they cleaned him off a little bit and they wrapped him up and let me hold him and put him in my wife's arms. It was a moment that for me was very profound because I grew up, although being close with younger brothers and sisters, I never really understood, and I love them, don't get me wrong, and I love my wife, don't get me wrong, and my parents and some friends and things like that. But this is the first time in my life that I ever looked at and felt like I cared so deeply and so much about someone other than me. And it's not that I'm a self-centered person, but we all do obviously have to do things to keep our being going. You know what I mean? I want to go to the store to do this. I want to buy that. I want to see that. And a lot of it is very self-centered. And I looked and it's like all that just washed away and I cared about nothing but that little life that was in my hands, And it was a great thing for me because although I was younger and so was my wife, it was what I needed to really put my life on a good path. And by no means am I any wealthy person, monetary wise. I'm certainly not father of the year. I try to do the best with what I can. There's no playbook on kids and how to raise them and how to take care of them. Everybody has different opinions on things, But for me, I thought this was a nice story to tell because my son turned 13. Now, he was born October 17th, 2000, and so he's about 13 and a half now. And we're getting to that point where I'm still relevant to him. We still play some video games together. We still talk, but he's becoming a teenager and just hormones and emotions and everything else. And I don't feel like we're as connected and as close as we used to be, and that just absolutely kills me inside. Because like I said, when I think back to remember, I remember holding that little life, and I mean, I was like in shock for a while, but for me anyway, that was the turning point in my life, and really just realizing, I'm sorry, I got a little choked up there, but, it was a turning point in my life. And it was, that point where I realized that there was someone that was more important than me. And it truly is, for most parents, I can't speak for all, but for most parents, that feeling that comes, it's that feeling of I would unconditionally take a bullet for you just to make sure that you didn't have a bad day. You know what I mean? Not even to save your life, just to I would take all the pain in the world upon me and suffering just to make sure that you didn't suffer, that you didn't have any anxiety or any sadness, And obviously you can't always make things perfect, but the moral of the story is that whether you have two parents or whether you have one parent or whether you have no parents and you had foster parents or whether you have an uncle or a godparent or just a very, very good friend, there's always somebody out there that thinks the world of you. There's always somebody out there that thinks that you are just the best person, the greatest thing to ever hit this earth. But anyway, thank you very much, everybody, for your continued support, for listening to these stories and things like that, and for actually caring enough to want to hear about them. Certainly nice to share parts of my past with others, and certainly, too, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart to Vanessa. It is absolutely the nicest gift that myself or my wife have ever received. And to tell you the truth, other than that reference picture that I gave you to work off of that we took around Christmas time, we hadn't even had a picture of the five of us together, I think, ever, just because it's so difficult. There's always one of us taking the picture, so one of us is not in it. And it's hard to get three kids of different ages all smiling and looking the same way at the same time. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. That was the greatest gift that I have ever received for a Christmas present. And I just truly wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart. So as always, thank you, brothers and sisters. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. And we'll look forward to catching you in the next one, Nation. If you'd like to see more of Vanessa's work, take a look at the links in the description down below.